Hey, it's Joe Amoia, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. Are you tired of waking up alone? Are you tired of investing your time and energy on guys who start off great, but who 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years later you realize simply aren't the guys you're looking for? Well, if so, I want you to pay close attention. One of the questions I hear all the time is, Joe, how do I find love? Like, what do I need to do? And it's one of those, catch 22 questions, is because there's really nothing you need to do other than be the best you can be. But you also need to kind of learn how to screen guys, how to make sure that you're pursuing the right guy for the right reasons. So I always believe with starting with the end in mind. And so if you're going to create a great relationship with an amazing guy, you have to first and foremost define what that is. Like, get clear on what would that look like? How would you know if you found the right guy? Every time I hear someone, it's like, I just want to find love. And I'm like, well, what does that look like? And I'm like, what do you mean, what does it look like? It's, you're just happy and you get along. I'm like, okay, that's great. But is that really a great relationship? How many of those relationships are you happy and you get along great in the beginning, but then you realize the guy has no integrity? Or then you realize that the guy isn't being honest with himself. He didn't show you the real you, or he told you what you wanted to hear. So if you're going to have a great relationship, you've got to do some things a little different. So back when I was single, what I decided to do is I really decided to, in my mind say, what is it that I really want? If I'm going to spend the rest of my life with someone, how am I going to recognize that person? Because I had spent enough time and had enough relationships where it started off in the beginning where I thought it was great. I thought, oh, well, this is great. We got so much in common. We're on the same page. There's passion, all that great stuff, right? All that chemistry. And then invariably somewhere down the road realized I didn't want to be with her, or she realized she didn't want to be with me. So I'm like, how can I kind of speed up my learning curve so I didn't have to waste my time? So I did what I called creating a checklist for love, where I literally took myself through this process and I decided, how am I going to recognize the right one? What are those qualities and characteristics that I absolutely positively must have? And then once I got clear on that, then it literally was like clothes shopping. Have you ever gone clothes shopping? You wanted, say there was a formal event and you wanted that, that killer dress or, killer outfit. You went in with a clear mindset. You knew what your budget was. You knew what kind of, outfit you were going for. If it was really formal, maybe you wanted, a long gown, maybe strapless, maybe you knew if you wanted a solid color, maybe you wanted certain prints, maybe you wanted a jacket. If it was a winter event, you kind of knew what you were going for as you went in. Okay. You also knew the kind of style, you knew what your taste was, and you knew what your size was. So you went along the rack, right? And you was like, no, that doesn't work. It's clear. It's not what I'm looking for. Pick that up. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what, yeah, this seems to be what I'm looking for. Yeah, this seems to be what I'm looking for. Yeah, and then you had a bunch, and then you tried them on. And then, the one that you thought might fit, you put it on and you realize, what, doesn't fit. I don't look good in it. This doesn't work. Or you know what, I like it, but the budget is way too high. And then ultimately, if it didn't meet all your buying criteria, you put it back on the rack. Right? You didn't waste time. You didn't go, oh, but I really love it. And you know what? This is my dream dress. And, but the color is so wonderful. Right? It either met your buying criteria or it didn't. And if you did, you simply put it back on the rack. Well, that's the way it works in your love life. You've got to get clear. You got to know your buying criteria. How do you know if you're going to make the purchase? Just because it looks good in your hand or looks good on the rack doesn't mean that it's the right purchase for you. And it works the same exact way in your love life. Now, I know I'm simplifying things, but it really is that simple. You've got to know ahead of time, how do you know if it's the right one for you? And when you're clear on that, then it's easy to sit back and see, does this fit? Now, of course, in a relationship, it may look good in the beginning. Okay, it might fit all your buying criteria, but you don't know until you date a while. And that's the purpose of dating. The purpose of dating is, is to spend time. It's kind of a probation period to see, is this really the person that you're looking for? I went through this recently with a client where she met a guy and things were great for the first couple of weeks. And, they got along, everything was awesome. And then, sure enough, all of a sudden, he realized that, you know what, he didn't want to be in a relationship, even though he said he wanted to be in a relationship in the beginning. And then he started projecting all his stuff onto her. And instead of being in her power and saying, look, you're now, thank God you're showing me only after a couple of weeks that you're not the man for me. And she took it on. It became personal. It's like, what did I do? Could I have done this differently? Where simply it wasn't the right fit for her. So that's what I want you to understand, is that it's great that you make the purchase, but then you have to sit back and go, okay, let's see if that's really the one. Time will tell. And as you date consistently over a period of time, ultimately he will show you if he's the right one or not. So this is one of those videos I really hope that you take it to heart and really take this information and use it and apply it. Don't just go, oh, that's great, that's wonderful, yeah. And then the next time a guy comes along, let your chemistry, your oxytocin, your estrogen takes over, and then you waste months of your life, if not years, on a guy who's simply not the right fit for you. And I promise, if you do what I've explained in this video, your journey to finding that great relationship, the right fit, is going to become easier and a lot more enjoyable. So, love to hear from you. What's your take on today's video? If you look back over your love life, do you have a tendency to make the wrong purchase? Do you buy something that only meets a couple of your criteria, but those other buying criteria aren't met, and you think it's going to change or it's going to get better, or you're just afraid to put it back on the rack because you might not find something else? So, want to know what's coming up for you? Put your questions, comments, and feedback in the box below. As always, an honor, privilege to be with you. I'll see you next time. Much love.